Whether it's your own personal narrative bringing you down or someone else's, life can feel overwhelming when we don't feel good about ourselves. Today, we're going to look at what may be causing you to feel negative about yourself and your life. Also, how to stop the negative messages from coming at you and what you can do today to feel better about yourself today. Thank you for joining me on Living Beyond Limits. I'm your host, Marcy Langlois. We all struggle with our self-esteem at different times in our lives. It's part of the human condition. I mean, for some people, low self-esteem is a lifelong battle, and for others, it ebbs and flows. Regardless of when you experience self-esteem issues or how long they last, I think we can probably all safely agree that not feeling good about ourselves can really bring us down, and it affects every single aspect of our life. I personally have struggled with my self-esteem for as long as I can remember. I was born with a facial deformity. Our home, super chaotic and very unpredictable. My family struggled financially from the time that I was young, pretty significantly. My life growing up was full of uncertainty and difficulty. When I lay it out like that, it doesn't seem like any big surprise at all that for so many years, the voice in my head was negative, scared, and just didn't have a lot of great things to say. So what I want to focus on today is what you can do to feel better today. I have 3 tips that have helped me over the years to switch gears and feel a shift quickly. So let's get to it then. So the first one, identify the one thing in your life that has you feeling stuck. Pick something that your inner critic is hounding you about. You know, that one thing, it seems that no matter what happens, it just never lets it go. What is that for you? If you aren't sure, then you can start with befriending the inner critic. My inner critic, hounded me about several things all the time. So in this case, though, we only want to identify one thing. Take the time and get curious about what it is that you're thinking and what are the repetitive messages that you're telling yourself over and over. The trick to do this is to do it kindly and without judgment. Just notice the thoughts and notice the stories that are running in the background of your mind. What's serving you and is actually helpful? And then what messages are you getting that are truly thinking errors? We can then start to identify the things that bring us down and actually reframe them right then and there in real time. Now that you have the up close and personal view of the inner critic, you can intervene on your own behalf. That inner critic can convince you of almost anything. The repetitive messaging can leave you feeling powerless to make any sort of change in your life. By taking the time to identify the top issue that makes you feel bad about yourself, though, you can completely shift the internal conversation. Commit to taking one action today. Just one that will make you feel like you're moving in a positive direction. Here's one example of how I silenced my inner critic through self-reflection and action. For the longest time, I struggled with food, and I had a lot of internal messages about how much I ate, what I ate, and the fact that I was overweight. Now, there was some truth in what that voice was saying. Absolutely, for sure. When I got sober, I started eating ice cream every single day. That's a lot of ice cream, folks. A lot. And it's not good for me. I was also eating pizza regularly and very few fruits and vegetables. So, who could contest what the inner critic was saying? The point was valid and taken. I decided that I needed to address this. So I started asking myself every day before I would eat, is this food in alignment with my health goals? Asking this one simple question before I ate allowed me to move my diet from very unhealthy to incredibly clean. It took time and it took practice. It did not happen overnight, but I did get there. I felt better about myself mentally, emotionally, and physically. By being open to the truth behind my inner critic's messages, I was able to make a decision that led me to being healthier. That helped me feel better about myself. And feeling better about myself left the inner critic speechless. 2, move your body every day and be in nature while you do it. Get outside. There's so much research that shows how important it is for us to be outside and in nature. Now, If you add physical exercise to your outside time, then you've nailed it. Physical exercise increases the serotonin in our brain, which makes us feel better. It's a built-in pharmacy of good feelings, and all we have to do to access that is to be physically active. Being outside resets our nervous system and creates a sense of calm and well-being. So getting outside, breathing the fresh air, and getting yourself recentered is a huge win. It's literally a 2-for-1 deal. Being in nature is my personal go-to, no matter what's happening. We have to be mindful about how we live our lives on a daily basis also. Overstimulation is a real thing. It isn't healthy or helpful for us to doom scroll or listen to the news all day, every day. I decided years ago to stop watching the news on any sort of consistent basis. Cutting my intake of the news down allowed me to fill my time with reading things that were actually uplifting instead of listening to all the things I had absolutely no control over. I make it a habit to limit how I get my news. Instead of doom scrolling every day or listening to news shows that are filled with negativity, I choose to limit when and how I read the news so that I can manage the influx of negative stories in my life. Another opportunity to move from being a victim and powerless to empowered and full of choices. It's critical to unplug from life to recharge your batteries. Take a mental health day from work. Do a social media fast for a week. Take the weekend off from going out and stay in and pamper yourself. Nature and exercise are amazing ways to counteract the negativity that we're presented with daily. Slowing your consumption of news or social media and other external triggers can help you take control of what you allow in your life. You get to choose every day what is working and what isn't. Choose carefully what you'll allow in and what needs to go. Feeling good about yourself takes a combined effort in every area of your life, and you can start to quiet the inner critic by moving your body in nature. Number 3, develop a practice of self-compassion. At a Buddhist retreat that I attended years ago, I heard compassion defined as wanting the suffering of another to end. By practicing self-compassion, we can work toward ending our own suffering. Let's face it, the rogue inner critic can beat you down and leave you feeling pretty terrible about yourself. Self-compassion is the antidote to the critic. Let's take a minute and just walk through this. What was the one thing that you just identified above that your inner critic is hounding you about? Here's your opportunity to bring that completely full circle. Whatever issue you're currently experiencing, you can use self-compassion to help end your own suffering. So first, acknowledge that you've identified and taken action to change this thing that needs to be addressed. You're actually going to take the action that supports your own well-being rather than continue to ignore it. This is huge, absolutely huge. Acknowledge it. Then take some time and review the positive things about yourself. Jot them down in a journal. Really take the time to sincerely acknowledge the positive traits that you have. Consider them and notice how each attribute shapes the quality of your life in a way that's meaningful and impactful. Take note of some recent challenges that you have navigated in a way that you're so proud of. Review how you overcame things that seemed insurmountable and celebrate that you did it. Notice your challenges and suffering that you have experienced in your life. Generate a sense of love and compassion for yourself that you actually walked through these experiences, even though they were really difficult. Imagine what heartfelt words you would extend to someone suffering with the exact same circumstances, and extend that same love and kindness to yourself. Envision what it is that you do want in your life. Can you create a mantra that supports the self-compassion? Maybe something like, I deeply love and accept myself, or whatever it is that may feel true for you based on your circumstances and the issue that you're trying to deal with. Friends, I've laid out the things that bring us down and make us feel bad. I've laid out 3 suggestions on how you can turn the ship around today. The most important part of all of this is to notice where you're stuck and then take action. I can't wait to hear about what you uncover about yourself and what you've implemented to make a shift. Please reach out to me on my website at marcylanglois.com to let me know what works for you and what doesn't. I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you so much for listening today. If you found this episode intriguing or helpful, please share it with your friends, coworkers, or neighbors. Be sure to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. I look forward to seeing you next week, and until then, be aiming to live beyond limits.